foot on its sands would break the curse. Bring our people together again.
I know what I have to do.
It all starts with the fearless Moana, dashing excitedly as she explores a mysterious island. Her passion for discovering new horizons and reconnecting people with the ocean, just like her legendary ancestors, drives her forward with every step. Along the way, she accidentally steps on a tiny crab resting peacefully, but luckily no harm is done. With her loyal pig by her side, though he looks utterly exhausted from the adventure, Moana shows her courage and determination by carrying him on her back as she climbs a steep hill. After a tough ascent, she finally reaches the summit where her ever-curious and proud rooster is already waiting. From the top, Moana gazes out at the breathtaking view stretching before her. Holding a conch shell, she blows into it, sending a call out into the wind, hoping for a response from distant islanders. But her call fades into silence. Moana never loses hope. Deep down, she knows someone will answer someday. Suddenly, a sound breaks the silence. It feels like a reply, but it's just her mischievous rooster, who's found something unusual, an ancient vase decorated with mysterious drawings of unknown human figures. Moana's excitement grows as she realizes this discovery might be the key to proving other civilizations exist. With her eyes sparkling with determination, she tells her trusty companions they need to head back home quickly. People are waiting. Their journey back is filled with excitement and joy for what the future might hold. As they near their homeland, Moana sings with infectious energy. Her arrival is met with cheers from the villagers, led by her parents Tui and Sina, who join her in a lively song celebrating unity and community. Among them is Moni, a young dreamer obsessed with the island's stories. He proudly calls himself Maui and Moana's biggest fan, and dreams of meeting the legendary demigod one day. Once Moana steps onto the shore, her father greets her with pride and curiosity, eager to know what she found on her journey. With a mix of excitement and resolve, she shows him the mysterious vase, convinced it's solid evidence of other civilizations. Though she doesn't yet know how to reach them, she promises she won't stop until she finds a way. At that moment, her younger sister, Samea, appears, giving her a playful scolding. With a mix of love and reproach, she says it feels like Moana's been gone for years, though it's really only been 3 days. Later, Moana takes Samea to the sacred site of their ancestors, a place steeped in history and mysticism where Moana herself learned about the deeds and traditions of their people. As they walk through the sacred space, Moana tells her sister about her past mission, returning to Fiti's heart, an epic adventure that changed her life forever. Intrigued, Samea asks how long it took. Smiling, Moana replies it was just a few weeks, but to Samea, that sounds like forever, and she can't help but voice her impatience. With excitement sparking in her voice, Moana begins sharing an even more fascinating story. Long before Maui stole Te Fiti's heart, one of their ancestors, the legendary Tautai Pasa, dreamed of connecting all the people of the ocean through its infinite waters. That dream, interrupted by the whims of gods and men, now rests on Moana's shoulders. Feeling it's her responsibility to carry on that mission, she explains her role to Samea. But with a child's innocence, Samea suggests Maui take over the task so Moana can stay on the island with her. Moana, as brave as ever, gently explains that Maui has his own responsibilities as a demigod, and this mission, this destiny, is hers alone. The scene shifts to Maui, who's in the middle of a dangerous journey, searching for the portal to the mythical island of Motofetu. Blocking his way is Matangi, an ancient guardian protecting the portal. Arrogant as always, Maui demands to pass, but Matangi refuses, insisting that he first needs to meet the young woman who once partnered with him, Moana. Trying to talk his way out of it, Maui lies shamelessly, claiming he only used Moana to get back his magical hook, and even mocks her rooster. Then, switching tactics, he explains the real issue. A malevolent god named Nalo has shrouded Motofetu in a deadly dark storm. Maui insists Moana has nothing to do with it, but Matangi cuts him off. She reminds him that he helped Moana become an extraordinary navigator, and now she's inextricably tied to this mission. We return to Moana's island where she's glowing with joy, teaching her people new dance steps and strengthening their connection to one another. When she finishes, her father, Tui, approaches with a proud smile and tells her tonight will be special. Moana is to be honored as the last great navigator of her lineage, a title reserved only for visionaries who dream beyond the horizon. He says her moment has come and it's time to show how far she can lead her people. As night falls, the entire island gathers to celebrate this historic event. Under the starlit sky and the glow of an ancient bonfire, Moana proudly accepts the title of Tautai, the first in generations to hold this honor. The ceremony begins to celebrate Moana as the island's undisputed leader, guided by the ancestral wisdom of those who came before her. Everything is solemn as Moana takes a sacred oath, vowing to protect and connect her people. But suddenly the ceremony takes an unexpected turn. Moana is abruptly transported to the middle of a raging ocean storm. Waves crash, the skies darken, and chaos ensues. Struggling against the fury of the storm, Moana falls into the water. When she emerges, she's back on her island, but everything has changed. The land is desolate, empty, and devoid of any trace of her people. In this eerie setting, a voice from her ancestors echoes in her mind. It explains that what she sees is a possible future, the fate that awaits her and her people if she fails to find the legendary island of Motufetu and reconnect the islands. The ancestor reminds her that returning Te Fiti's heart was only the beginning. Her new mission is to calm the storm that engulfs Motufetu. To do so, she must follow the fire in the sky, which will guide her to an island far beyond what her ancestors ever reached. Her task isn't just to save Motufetu, it's to reunite the islands and restore the balance they've lost. In an instant, Moana is back at the ceremony. Everything seems normal, but her heart knows the vision was a warning she cannot ignore. Resolutely, she tells her parents and the rest of the village that she must embark on a new journey to find Motufetu. Moni, the excitable young storyteller, jumps in with enthusiasm, recounting an ancient tale. Long ago, he says, all the ocean's people were connected through its vast waters, but a jealous god named Nalo, envious of the unity's power, cursed Motufetu with an eternal storm. The storm severed the island's connection, leaving each to fend for itself. Now, as the new Tautai, it's Moana's responsibility to complete the mission her ancestors couldn't. Though her father is deeply worried about her safety, he trusts her courage and strength, as does the rest of the village. At that moment, everyone looks to the sky, where they see the fire streaking through, a clear sign it's time to act. Moved by the hope and emotion of the moment, Moana begins to sing. Her song is powerful and heartfelt, describing how the sky has called her, how hard it is to leave her loved ones, and the strength she feels knowing she's destined for this mission. As she finishes, she sees the spirit of her grandmother, always by her side to guide and comfort her. Her grandmother reminds her that while the journey ahead is uncertain, who she becomes will depend on the choices she makes. At dawn, Moana gathers her people and announces with courage that she will set sail to find Motufetu, face the storm, and restore the ocean's connection. She promises to return once her mission is complete. In that moment, she sings again, reaffirming her determination to see this journey through. No matter the challenges ahead, her mother, worried about the dangers, insists that Moana shouldn't go alone. Setting out by herself would be far too risky. Though hesitant at first, Moana is convinced when her mother reminds her that even the rooster survived the last journey thanks to having companions. Finally, Moana agrees, realizing that with the right support, she'll be better equipped to face whatever lies ahead. Lotto, a close friend of Moana, arrives on the scene, eagerly asking to join the crew for this grand journey. Knowing they'll need more than just fish to sustain them, Moana decides they must enlist the help of a farmer to provide a variety of food for the trip. Meanwhile, she begins mentally preparing herself to ask Maui for his support, practicing how to approach the conversation. Before she can act, Moni, the young, adventure-obsessed storyteller, shows up, confidently insisting he must come along, claiming his knowledge of legends and adventures will be critical for the mission. At the same time, little Samea, with the innocence of a child, begs Moana to take her along. Moana gently explains that she's too young to face the ocean's dangers. To comfort her, Moana shows her the beauty of the sea and reminds her that the ocean is a friend that connects everyone no matter how far apart they are. Samea, moved by Moana's words, gives her a starfish as a symbol of home and their bond. Moana, touched by the gesture, accepts it and begins her journey with her crew. Meanwhile, we see Maui. trapped in a complicated snare and frustrated without access to his magical hook. A few frogs attempt to free him, but their efforts are useless. His tattoos, representing his conscience, whisper that Moana will come to rescue him, but he stubbornly rejects the idea. Maui insists he can handle his problems alone and doesn't want to involve her. Enter Matangi, the antagonist, who mocks his predicament. With biting sarcasm, she offers to free him, while teasingly admitting she'd love to reunite with Moana, his little friend. Back with Moana, she faces a new challenge. Some crew members are afraid of the ocean, and one of them can't even swim. With patience and strong leadership, Moana reassures them, helping ease their fears and encouraging them to enjoy the journey. Slowly, excitement begins to spread among the group, though the farmer remains skeptical. Despite this, Moana inspires them to press on. However, trouble arises when a strong current causes their canoe to veer off course. On the horizon, they spot what appears to be land, but as they get closer, they realize it's not an island. It's something much more dangerous. They encounter the Kakamora, tiny but fierce coconut warriors who attack relentlessly. Just as they manage to escape, they face an even greater threat, a giant clam devouring everything in its path. Moana, showing her characteristic bravery, redirects the canoe to avoid disaster, successfully hiding her team. But when she tries to save the rooster from a sedative dart, one hits her instead, temporarily incapacitating her. Amid the chaos, the Kakamora capture Moana and her crew, taking them to their territory. In their camp, the Kakamora explain their plight. Their island is in the same waters as Motufetu, but when Nalo divided the ocean to weaken the marine peoples, they were cut off from everyone else. They tried to reconnect the islands but were blocked by the giant clam, forcing them into a life of fear and isolation. Now they believe they'll remain separated forever unless the clam is defeated. The Kakamora offer a deal. They have a toxin capable of killing the clam, but they won't take part in the mission themselves. If Moana and her crew succeed, the Kakamora will help guide them to Motufetu. Moana agrees to the challenge, promising to uphold her end of the bargain. With a gesture of mutual respect, the Kakamora bid them farewell, leaving Moana and her crew to face the task alone. Moana and her team prepare to confront the giant clam, armed with the toxin. But as soon as they enter the creature's interior, a powerful current sweeps them away, throwing everything into disarray. In a shocking twist, the Kakamora cut the rope tethering them to the outside, leaving the team trapped inside the colossal creature. Inside the clam, chaos ensues. Amid the violent churning and sudden movements, they lose the spear containing the toxin. Thankfully, Lotto had the foresight to bring 3 extra spears, but as fate would have it, those are quickly lost in the turmoil as well. One by one, the crew members are separated, dragged away by different currents within the clam's cavernous interior. Moana's friends find themselves in a dark, unfamiliar place. The elder of the group spots what he thinks is one of the Kakamora, and with surprising courage decides to attack. To his horror, it turns out to be a massive monster, and the hiding spot of none other than Maui, who is trying to escape his captivity. With the help of Moni, Moana's enthusiastic fan and Maui's self-proclaimed #1 admirer, they manage to free the demigod and retrieve his iconic magical hook. When Maui meets Moana's crew, the pig tumbles down from above. Maui jokingly declares it's going to be lunch. Moments later, the rooster shows up and Maui quips it'll be dinner. But then he notices the rooster is Moana's, confirming she's nearby. Resolving to find her, Maui sets off with the group. Meanwhile, Moana wakes up disoriented, imagining her little sister, Simia, chastising her with dramatic accusations. Moana, the whole village hates you forever. But she quickly realizes it's just a bat playing tricks on her mind. At that moment, Matangi appears, introducing herself as the guardian of this forgotten corner of the ocean. She reveals she knows the way to Motufetu and is willing to help. Matangi also confesses she was trapped here by Nalo, the malicious god, and hopes Moana can defeat him to break the seal keeping her imprisoned. Before departing with a cryptic warning, Matangi tells Moana, no matter what, there's always another path. Matangi then traps Moana in a magical sphere, explaining that to open the portal to Motufetu, she must perform a sacred ritual in the form of a dance. Just as Moana begins, Maui and the others arrive. Encouraged by their presence, Moana gathers her strength and completes the dance, successfully opening the portal and proving herself to be the chosen one. One by one, the crew passes through the portal, with Maui bringing up the career. Before they leave, Moana asks Matangi to come with them, but the Guardian declines, explaining that her spell binds her to this place. With a mix of resignation and hope, Matangi reminds Moana that defeating Nalo might free her, and perhaps they'll meet again someday. Her parting words, "Sometimes to move forward you have to let go, or even get lost." As Moana's team sails onward, Matangi turns to her loyal bat and mutters anxiously, "If Nalo finds out I helped her escape, we're all doomed." As they travel, Maui begins to doubt the mission. With a serious tone, he warns Moana that what lies ahead is more dangerous than she can imagine, so perilous that even he, a demigod, considers it nearly impossible. He chastises her for ignoring his earlier warnings and declares that no one will survive the horrors of Motufetu. Not her, not the crew, not even the rooster. Moana, embodying the spirit of a true leader, pushes back. She tells Maui that the ancestors wouldn't have called them if they didn't believe this mission was possible. Resolute in her purpose, she declares that reaching Motufetu isn't just a task, it's her destiny. Though Maui reminds her that his powers might not be enough in this part of the ocean, she keeps her faith. Turning to the ocean, she silently asks for a sign. Suddenly, she sees a figure that looks like her grandmother, but as she moves closer, she realizes it's not her at all. It's a menacing welcome gift from Nalo, a magical aquatic creature designed to block their path. As tension mounts, Maui uses his shape-shifting abilities, transforming into a small shark to sneak into the water and distract the creature. Chaos erupts. Mani nearly loses his life, but thanks to teamwork and the crew's bravery, everyone survives. Yet the encounter leaves Moana riddled with guilt. Floating nearby, Moana spots the remnants of an ancient canoe from her ancestors. It's a haunting reminder of past journeys and sacrifices. Reflecting deeply, she begins to doubt herself, wondering if leaving her island was a mistake. She fears she's endangered her friends and starts considering giving up entirely. Maui, noticing Moana's despair, refuses to let her quit. Drawing on his trademark charm and confidence, he launches into a motivational song. His lyrics remind Moana of who she is and what she's accomplished. He sings about how her name has become a symbol of hope for her people, how her courage has even inspired him, and how together they're an unstoppable force. With conviction, Maui assures her she's the greatest navigator who's ever lived, capable of overcoming any challenge no matter how impossible it seems. His words and the song's uplifting energy begin to reignite the spark in Moana's heart. By the end, she's standing tall again, her determination renewed. She vows to see the mission through, not just for her people but for herself. Together with her crew and Maui, she looks ahead to the next challenge, ready to face whatever comes her way. Maui's words not only lift Moana's spirits but also rekindle the resolve of her crew. Moni, now recovered from his near-fatal encounter, pledges his unwavering support for the mission, while the rest of the team rallies around Moana, reminding her that each of them has a critical role to play. United by their shared purpose, they regain the determination to move forward together. As they sail on, Maui jokes that it's been a while since he lifted an island, and that it's about time he does it again. However, as they approach Motufetu, a massive storm rises on the horizon. Moana, demonstrating her unshakable courage and leadership, takes command of the ship, skillfully navigating it through towering waves. Meanwhile, Maui uses his magical hook to transform into various creatures, flying and diving closer to the storm's center. As a mighty hawk and other forms, he bravely confronts tornadoes that appear designed specifically to target humans. In a critical moment, one of the tornadoes strikes Maui, sending him crashing onto the ship. That's when Moana notices something vital. The storm's fury seems directed exclusively at humans, ignoring Maui entirely when he's in non-human forms. Realizing this could be the key to survival, she quickly formulates a plan. She convinces Maui to use this weakness to their advantage, urging him to draw the storm's focus toward them, giving him a chance to reach the island and fulfill his task. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Maui agrees. Knowing the sacrifice it entails, he transforms into a massive hawk once more, towering and majestic against the stormy sky. Before taking off, he reassures the crew with a confident farewell, promising to meet them on Motufetu for the final phase of the mission, lifting the island itself. With a powerful cry of hope, he soars into the storm, leaving Moana and her crew to face the chaos with steadfast determination. As the storm's rage escalates, Moana and her team organize themselves with precision, each member taking on vital responsibilities. They maneuver through the relentless tornadoes with skill and bravery, but the situation grows increasingly dire. From a distance, Moana spots Maui reaching Motufetu. Using his hook, he begins the monumental task of lifting the island, but Nalo, the malevolent god, refuses to let him succeed without a fight. From the swirling darkness, Nalo unleashes devastating bolts of lightning upon Maui, each one more ferocious than the last. Yet Maui, summoning every ounce of strength, perseveres. He knows Moana must touch the island to unleash its magic and fulfill her destiny. The situation takes a dire turn when an especially powerful lightning strike hits Maui directly. He stumbles, visibly weakened. The blow causes him to lose some of his tattoos, symbols of his connection to the gods. Despite the immense pain, Maui refuses to give up. But just as Moana shouts for his help to steady the canoe, a massive explosion of lightning rocks the area, flinging everyone into the ocean and scattering the crew in chaos. Moana, though dazed, fights to help her team find safety. Amid the turmoil, she realizes she's lost the starfish Samia gave her, a heartbreaking moment that makes her question her choices again. Overwhelmed by guilt and doubt, she wonders if leaving her island was the wrong decision, if she's doomed her crew by leading them into such peril. Her crew, equally shaken, begins to lose hope. Some even voice regret, convinced they won't survive. But then, in the depth of her despair, Moana remembers the words that have guided her throughout her life. There's always another path. Summoning every ounce of inner strength, Moana steadies herself. She looks to the ocean and takes a deep breath, feeling its familiar presence. Though battered and bruised, she knows she cannot give in to fear. Her people, her ancestors, and her crew are counting on her. With renewed determination, she calls out to her scattered crew, rallying them together. She reminds them of the trust their ancestors placed in them, and that no storm or god can stand against their combined strength. Slowly but surely, her words restore hope in their hearts, and together they prepare to face whatever lies ahead. Moana looks back toward Motufetu, where Maui continues his titanic struggle against Nalo's fury. She knows the next steps will be the hardest yet, but as she grips the rudder and steadies her gaze, the fire of determination burns in her eyes. For her, turning back is no longer an option. She is ready to embrace her destiny no matter the cost. With courage renewed, Moana tells her crew that they must find Maui and refuse to give up. Without a second thought, she dives into the sea, swimming with all her strength toward the island, ignoring the dangers surrounding her. Finally reaching the ocean's depths, she discovers a unique rock, the heart of the island. Summoning her last ounce of energy, she touches the rock, but at that exact moment, Nalo strikes her with a powerful lightning bolt, rendering her unconscious. The storm begins to subside, and an eerie calm blankets the scene. Maui senses that something has changed and quickly sets out to find Moana. He discovers her underwater, lifeless, and carries her to the surface in desperation. Heartbroken, he begins to sing a sorrowful, heartfelt song, pleading for her to wake up. At that moment, Moana's ancestors appear, surrounding her with a warm, radiant energy. The spirits of those who perished on past missions join in a hopeful, ethereal song. Among them is her grandmother, leading the melody, creating a bridge between past and present in a magical moment. The ocean begins to shimmer with their energy, and the light flows into Moana. Slowly, she opens her eyes, alive and brimming with newfound strength. As Moana regains consciousness, she sees her ancestors, Maui, and her grandmother. Though Maui is safe, his tattoos have vanished, a sign of his severed connection to the gods. Yet within seconds, the tattoos reappear, one by one, each telling the story of his bravery in this new adventure. His magical hook is also restored, its power renewed by the bond between them and the ocean. Moana's grandmother offers her one last piece of advice. They will always be together, and Moana will never be alone as long as she remembers who she is. As a mark of her achievement, Moana receives a glowing tattoo on her arm and a special artifact that symbolizes her journey. With his strength fully restored, Maui helps Moana free the island, while she completes the ritual that finally breaks Nalo's curse. As they walk across the newly risen island, they discover a map depicting many other islands, including Motunui and one marked simply as home. Soon people from far and wide begin to arrive, reuniting joyfully and forming a vibrant new community. Later, Maui returns to Moana's island bearing a special gift for Samea, a telescope brought from Motofetu. He tells her to use it to watch her sister return triumphantly. Overcome with excitement, Samea runs to Moana and the two embrace tightly. Moana's parents also welcome her back with pride and gratitude for all she has accomplished. The film concludes with a grand celebration. The entire village sings joyfully, marking the beginning of a new era of unity and hope. In the post-credits scene, Matangi is shown before an enraged Nalo. Furious that Moana reached Motofetu and freed the island. Suspicious of betrayal, he demands answers. Matangi, weary and resigned, insists that her debt was paid by being imprisoned for so long. But Nalo, with a cruel smile, shackles her again, saying, "This is just the beginning." At that moment, Tamatoa the crab appears, now missing one of his claws, and declares that he too seeks revenge on Moana. With a menacing laugh, Nalo plots his next move, setting the stage for another thrilling adventure. The screen fades to black, leaving the story open for more.